Test, test. A little louder.
Very good. Thank you.
Sure. Everybody here?
Good. Yeah, you can do the intro.
Good morning, everyone. It's August the 2nd. I'm Nesting Anderson, lead archaeologist here for the Alamo Plaza Archaeology. I'm here to give you the daily briefing. It's been an exciting couple weeks. We've done a lot over here on the west wall, and we've gotten a lot of information. You all know we found some adobe bricks in place. We've also found some adobe, what we kind of call melt, in other areas where we're kind of seeing a possible evidence of collapsing walls. We've recovered over 300 artifacts, mostly here at the west wall. We're just starting work at the south wall and generating artifacts there as well. Yesterday we got to do a show and tell where we showed everybody some artifacts, including ceramics, a bone button blank where people used to punch buttons out of bone to make bone buttons. Pretty obvious, right? And some glass, including a fragment that was labeled San Antonio Apothecary. I'm going to wait for this bus to pass real quick. As it stands now, we're starting to wrap up our excavations here at the west wall. We found a lot of good information, and we've really thought about how we've done this every step of the way, and we've really focused on not going through the deposits, which is typically what archaeology does, is we get as much information as we can and we dig it once and then we can't go back and replicate it. This time we know that there's a lot of information to be left in place to be interpreted as part of the master plan. So we have really focused on sampling areas and not just going down and collecting all the information. We're really doing a very targeted excavation, sampling, and trying to see a horizontal. What's the ground surface look like? What are we seeing? How could we interpret that? And how could the master plan use that information to look at things in a larger perspective? Here on the west wall, we found a lot of household debris, which really helps us as archaeologists remember the people that were living and working here. Not just the missionaries, but the Native Americans who also lived and worked here every day. So now, we're going to take all that data, we're going to continue artifact analysis. We will let you know if we find anything exciting as we continue to analyze. And we're going to shift excavations, the focus to the south wall, which is across the street. This will probably be the last briefing here at the west wall, and tomorrow y'all will shift over to the south wall, which everybody will be happy is shaded. So I think that'll be very nice. They are just getting started over there. And their focus is on opening kind of a large area, a wide area, to see what they can find in association with the south wall. Now the south wall is a little different than the west wall. Where we are working now, nobody has worked before, but there have been excavations there previously. And in those previous excavations, they found evidence of a lunette trench, which would have been a defensive fortification. They have found pieces of the wall and some of the complex. Waiting for the bus. And we know that the gate was there. That is where people entered the compound. So we're looking at working at the entranceway. Right now, again, we're just focusing on opening the area to see what we get and see if we can add to that existing body of information. So the updates will start to focus on what we may be finding over there.
Now, your goal all along was to locate where the west wall was. Do you think you've done that?
That's a very good question, and for those of you at home who may not be able to hear, the question was, our goal all along was to locate that west wall, and do we feel we've done that? We do, because remember, the west wall is a complex of walls. It's not just one single wall. We've got the arcade, which for those of you who are in town or who may be visiting, if you go across the street by the barracks, you can see that arcade with the arches. That's what would have been here as part of the arcade. Then we have a complex of rooms where people would have been living and working. And then we've got the actual perimeter wall. And all that together is considered the west wall. So we do feel we have found part of that.
What happens when you start closing up this side? What are people going to see? How do you kind of put it back together?
What we're doing in this case is we are trying to preserve what we have found. So we're going to be putting a layer of landscape cloth down. So if it's reopened, you know what you're about to hit and nobody goes, oh, we dug through it. So we've got the landscape cloth that's going down. Then we backfill with the original material that's come out, or sand, or a combination of the two. Then we will put back the base that we excavated out, the overburden, as we called it. And then we have a crew that's coming in to restore it to this flagstone surface that you see now.
So the landscape plot, that will go down below, and that will be a signal to future archaeologists that they're entering the place that was excavated in 2016.
Correct, and we also map our locations in, so we've got that data that we will produce for future archaeologists to come in and say, oh, we know where their units were, we've got this map, and we've got their data, and we can set up and replicate that as best as possible.
You're gonna put like a time capsule or a message or anything in there?
Well, we're not this time, to my knowledge, but that's not a bad idea.
Did you dug any deeper than before?
Actually, we have been shallower this time because we have gotten so much material. We've hit the adobe melt. We're hesitant to go through that because that's something that would be really nice for visitors to see if the plan calls for interpretation of that. We've also hit some stones, collapsed, and we're leaving those in place as well. So we're actually just a couple feet below the surface, and that's where we're going to end it. We've sampled a little bit deeper in a couple areas where we're not hitting those features, and we'll analyze that information, but we want to preserve and protect until we know what the plan is.
Now, over here, not long ago, there were standing structures. I gather that over there has never been a Radio Shack or any other business over there, so everything you find might be more germane to the mission.
Well, that's an interesting question because you're right. Although there were never buildings over on that side, there have been work with the WPA coming in and putting the planters in, and then the city putting in streets and utilities, which were necessary. And so it may be that we find things that are more germane, but we may also have areas that are not there anymore. That's part of what we're trying to find.
We have a question from Facebook. Where are the artifacts that you found going to be for people to view?
We are not sure yet. That is part of the master plan. What we do is we take our artifacts out, we clean them up, we analyze them. People in the lab get to wash them with toothbrushes, so think about that next time you're washing your teeth. They use muddy toothbrushes, and then what we do is we're sorting them all from where we found them. So we have kind of a complex tracking system to say, here's where we got them out of the ground, this group of artifacts stays together, and then it will eventually go to a curational facility and be prepared for storage there. And eventually, hopefully displayed, but that's up to the master plan.
So far, how's your vision overall and here as far as before starting construction and now what you found with the artifacts? Like, are you starting to see some kind of newer type of environment that you never thought of as far as the master plan?
You know, I can't speak to what the master planner's vision is. I can tell you as an archaeologist, what we have seen is really encouraging. We've got deposits here, which we weren't sure. You know, we knew that Radio Shack had deposits, but there's been construction that's occurred since then. There's been a fountain put in, there's been utilities laid in. So right now, finding what we found, we're very encouraged that there are deposits to interpret, and they are where we expect them to be. Do we have other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Lisa.
Let me ask you something.
Thanks everybody for tuning in on Facebook. Thanks Cheryl for tuning in, Krista, Jesse, thanks for the questions. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We're here in the heart of San Antonio, but we always love to hear where everyone's tuning in from. Also, if you're in town or within driving distance, join us this afternoon from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center in the Stars at Night Ballroom. We're having our first public meeting where you'll hear from the master planners and you can learn a little bit more about the approach. So we'd love for you to join us. Again, that's tonight from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center in the Stars at Night Ballroom. And we'll be back here on site tomorrow at 10:30. We'll be at the second site in a little bit more shade, which will be great. So Feel free to post your comments here. We're reading all of them. Post your comments. Let us know what your questions are. See Justin watching from Oklahoma, road trip, awesome. Patricia watching from King William, thanks for joining in. Ryan watching from the San Antonio Visitor Information Center, which is just right behind the screen that you see here. Thanks for tuning in. Patricia, can't be at the meeting. Sorry, we're going to miss you. It will be taped. Patricia, great question. We are going to tape the meeting and we'll have it on our YouTube channel and have it on social media for people to view. We're also going to be going live this evening from portions of the meeting, so you'll see some parts of it. We're not going to go live from everything, but you will have a live recording to see. We'll put it on the website, reimaginethealamo.org. We'll also put it on the YouTube channel to view as well. Patty is looking forward to the public meeting tonight. Thanks, Patty. We're looking forward to seeing you there. Thanks everyone again for tuning in. We'll be back here again at 10:30.